Amigathon is back. Join the Amigos on Saturday, July 7th as they play Amiga games for up to 24 hours to benefit the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. Go to amigathon.com to donate and for more information. Hi everybody, welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about degeneration. Yes. Now, you told me before we started the show that there was no wrestling connection, but as we talk through the show, I want you to form one in your mind so you can connect something with the Amiga game to the world of wrestling.
I will say Degeneration X had a phrase they used that I want to utter at you all the time.
Suck it?
That's... I didn't think that was family friendly, so I was just gonna like allude to it.
Now were they also the ones that did like the chop, or maybe it was the other way around?
It's like that. Yeah,
right.
That's right. Yeah, that was.
Now is that different than the diamond cutter?
That diamond cutter's a move, and he goes like this, bang.
Oh, because I was kind of making a diamond with my hands as I was doing
that. No, that's an X.
We got feedback, Aaron. We got feedback from Dell is Dreamy. Do you remember Dell?
Yeah, I do.
Dell drives the highways and byways in an 18-wheeler as he listens to the
I've got some trucker buddies, so I understand.
He asks, do you remember the McLean from McDonald's?
The McLean, it was the diet burger.
The diet burger from McDonald's. That was in reference to the Amigos Song Challenge, the Patreon Song Challenge from last week. The McLean.
Oh, Don McLean.
Right,
you clever boy.
He says, Amigos is fun. You guys are fun. Thanks. You inspired me to try some of the games that you cover, so I tried some of the emulators for Android and settled on UAE for ARM, which is very full-featured. I'm also using Omega 500 for single-disc games. It requires very little setup and works great for Wings of War and Galaga. Hardest part was putting the Kickstart ROM in the right place. So have you ever messed around with any Android-based Amiga emulation?
I have used UAE for ARM on my little GP2X, and it wasn't good. But I mean, this is the GP2X. How many years old is that thing?
Yeah, it's a pretty old machine at this point.
But I mean, you could play a couple things on it. But you know, I've not done the Android. I think I loaded it up one time to see what it looked like, and it looked like when UAE, it's all right. Doing anything in Android when it comes to putting files in places,
it's not easy. Not
a
easy.
Hassle.
Yeah. All right, Aaron.
If you're trucking though, you got to have your Amiga fixed.
That's right. I can just picture Dell. He's got the 18 wheels, and it does, and roses.
Yeah.
And he's got the tablet mounted right there.
Man.
And he's Deluxe Galaga with one hand on the wheel with the other.
He's just got the opening for Blood Money.
just cycling.
A lot more coming.
Man, I can think of no better soundtrack as I'm rolling down the road. All right, Aaron. Let's talk about this week's Amiga news.
Amiga news. We actually had some Amiga news. Let me grab the Gambletron here. So, right out of the Giz8, our good dear friend Adam Bradley posted this wacky thing. Now, I tested this link a couple days ago. It was down, but I think it's back up. Let's see what's coming. Yeah, there it goes. So, have you looked at this wacky piece of hardware? The turbo card. What is that?
You know, when 90% of the descriptive words are abbreviations.
Yes. Yeah. It's the turbo card HCS 533 33 megahertz 8 megs of memory IDE Amiga 500 interface card.
Woo! What a name.
Well, I mean, it does a lot for your Amiga 500.
What does it do exactly?
Well, among other things, it's a jacked up proc. You get the IDE. Hey. IDE for your 500, not too bad. And the price, it's got a compact flash you can use with it now if you get the IDE.
Now, if you're making one of these new cards, why would you not make it SATA instead of IDE?
Well, see, now you're getting into a Amiga operating system and hardware angle. I've heard that question asked, and I don't know the answer.
Okay,
but apparently the IDE is easier to implement.
Okay.
All right. Also, it's got memory. Not bad. Now, what was this, like 120 euros?
127 euros.
So in good old US dough.
About 150 bucks.
Yeah, and that's not a bad deal.
No.
That's a lot of crap for a card. Now, what's happening to me? Sordan? Is that who's selling this? I don't know who came up with this.
Yeah, cheap electronic shop. Hey, they say what they are.
Yeah, I mean, why lie? You know?
Yeah.
You know, we're in the golden age of. It reminds me of the old days. It's wacky peripherals coming out the yin yang.
Akimbo.
You know, I mean, there are tons of this stuff coming out, and this is just another one. I don't know if Adam's got one of these or is getting one, but I'm sure if he gets it, he'll let us know. I see Adam's not in there, is he, in the chat today?
I don't think so.
So I found this, and you know, I can't help myself sometimes. The biggest demo party in Scandinavia.
Ooh.
Yes, man. How would you like to go to this thing? I mean, it'd be crazy time.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Data Storm 2018, August 3rd through 5th.
I love the fact that there is a URL extension called .party.
Yeah, there should be.
I wish next year we are going to be Amigathon.party.
That's it. Look at that. Look at that. We're watching the pictures on the webpage. You got guys partying. You got guys freaking arm wrestling.
This was
good-looking babe.
I was going to say this was the only girl here, I bet, because she's appeared in 2 of the pictures already.
That's the way you do it. Hey, let me tell you something. Chicks dig the demos. Don't fool yourself, Boat.
That's true.
So
I have heard that.
If you're in Scandinavia, in the Scandinavian area,
Stockholm.
Oh yeah. If you're down that way, go to this for God's sakes, and then get us in the loop.
There's all look.
I know the events. There's all kinds of stuff.
Look at this guy, DJ Opterock.
And this happening vehicle.
Yeah.
There's a hippie skateboarder. You gotta have that guy. I mean, that guy looks like a Bigfoot.
He does. He's right out of Urban Yeti.
He's living my dream of having a big full beard and the long hair. He's got it all.
And the ability. He claims to be the world champion in the skate or die half pipe.
So, man, a hefty
some people have it all.
So now here's another thing I came across. This may be old. I don't know if you looked at this thing. This is over at Amitopia. Have you ever been to Amitopia?
I've been through there.
Yeah, and
this is not the right
I like
link.
some of their stuff. No, that was it.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it. So this is a thing that basically lets you play crap loads of Amiga music or like in your browser.
Oh.
So if you want to hear some rockin' tunes, this is the place to go. It's and they've got tons of other stuff too. So if that's your bag, fire it up. I just had to come across.
Sometimes that's nice because people don't have at the ready an ARG player or a what's the Amiga thing? What is their mod? Right.
Right. Gosh, who was I listening to this week? I'm trying to think who it was. That was it was Shane R. Monroe.
Why am I not surprised?
Passenger Seat Radio. And he was talking about the first time he ever heard the Amiga play tunes. And he had a very similar story to mine. I remember going to my buddy's house, and he goes, listen, this is going to blow your face off. Get ready. Because this is the same buddy that had gotten an Atari 800 to play digitized Van Halen once. Him and his dad both audio digitizer through the joystick port.
I mean, why would that not be your dream?
And so that was the high water mark as I went to this to see this Amiga. So he loads up this program called Sonics, and it got a new name at some point, but Sonics was this sort of high-end music player on the Amiga, and the thing he loaded up was Word Up. Remember Word Up? Word
Up. Oh yeah.
This was like a Sonics version of this.
Was it like meh, meh?
No, it was going Word Up. It was identical. You couldn't pick this away from the same song. I mean, it didn't have all the verses, but I mean, you gotta understand. I mean, this is going from like, I can't explain how stunned I was. I was just like, ugh! I couldn't believe that existed. And he had Ghostbusters, and he had a bunch of other songs, and they sounded legitimately like a real song. Even I dipped my toe in the pool with it and did. You ever heard of a band called Ministry?
Yes.
I didn't like Ministry, but they did have this repetitive song, which I can't even remember the name of, Stigmata. You ever heard that song?
No.
And I actually did a version of it on one of my few delvings into the audio, and it sounded okay because it would just play digitized.
Was it like a loop?
That's right. It would digitize.
Did you put an awesome techno beat?
I guess it was like no. It already had one. It was like what do they call it? A sequencer with it was sequencing legitimate like audio clips in a certain way.
It was like Snow.
Don't know.
Informa.
No. So this was awesome.
Okay.
So when you see stuff like this, and I listen to some of these tunes, it took me back to that time. I mean, I don't know the first time you heard anything that was impressive. I don't know, maybe by the time you were old enough to know what was going on, well, the audio was probably already there.
The first time that I heard digitized speech, it frightened me. I was playing E.T. Phone Home on the Atari computer.
Yeah.
And when you collect all the parts of the spaceship and you bring them to E.T., his visage appears on the screen and you hear, E.T. phone home!
Really?
He sounds like...
That's the way he sounds.
Yeah, he sounded exactly like that. And I had the volume turned up incredibly loud for some reason, and I was the only person in my house at the time. And I jumped back. I turned off the computer. I wanted nothing more to do with E.T. that day.
I mean, I had heard digitized sound before. But this was not that scratchy, grainy baloney.
This actually sounded like
this was straight up
yeah.
CD quality.
I guess,
there were CDs at the time, but you get what I mean.
I guess I was a little bit too young to really experience what that was like, because by the time that I was old enough to be cognizant of that being around, it was already a thing.
I used to watch a show called 3-2-1 Contact.
Me too.
All right?
I was thinking about that the other day.
When I was a little kid in school, it would
Me
show
too.
it. And there was an episode of it where...
Wait, I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one that used to take their juice box and flatten it and then pretend like I was in MathNet and like go around and like hit the jukebox.
You were the only one that did that. Also, I don't know what MathNet is.
MathNet was on 3-2-1 Contact. It was one of the segments.
There was probably a decade between when you watched it and when I watched it. So, but there was. I remember they went to the Bell Research Facility.
Oh yeah,
right.
Palo Alto.
And they said, and they had a computer that it goes, I am a computer at Bell Laboratories, and I'm learning to talk. And that was the first time I think I'd ever heard a computer speak. I was just like, oh, this was on the show, you know. So it wasn't that many years later that I was listening to Word Up and Ghostbusters and all this other crap. Just like the leap between these two things was incredible. And the Amiga was so far past. I mean, if you think about when the Amiga came out in '85, and this stuff was pretty much available then. If you think about what else was around, I mean, for gaming and whatnot, I mean, there was nothing that was doing that.
You're absolutely right.
It was freaking amazing. Now the ST came along, and so maybe, and I didn't know anyone with an ST,
right?
But maybe those guys had it too, you know, since they had the midis. But I mean, it was startling to hear it, and you just couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I remember thinking, "What's he got going here?" I thought maybe he had something hooked up, like, you know, it was amazing. It was amazing. I don't know why. Oh yeah, shit, I'm wrong. But anyway, it got me to thinking about the first time I heard that digitized audio on the Amiga, and then that's the reason I looked for stuff. I was like, let's see if I can play something in the browser, and I found that. So,
cool.
There you go. That's a long story short, isn't it? So, our good and dear friend, the Duncan, the Dunkster, Duncan Styles, has done a big review here of Magic Pockets. Now, we haven't played Magic Pockets on the show, Boat.
No, I've played it. I think I've done an Amigos.
I think you did,
Magic Pockets.
But I have not ever played Magic Pockets. I'll be honest with you. And it looked pretty good. I read the review. I may have to give this a whirl.
He's doing the Dreamcatcher thing of bringing in things from outside of the game.
Oh man, yeah, this was his magnum opus.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah, Duncan.
Another reason I want to watch it. He does a full. You know, we don't do reviews. We sort of. You know, we play it for a week, and then we just kind of say, "Here's what we thought." It's not really a review.
Yeah, those guys
don't screw around.
Duncan and Dreamcatcher, these are the guys you want to read.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. It was great. I was like, man, this is. We are so lucky to have that come up on everything. Amiga.com, plug. So that is something that's a must read. And speaking of the big man, the DK, he has a look, and I made a comment on this when I posted it. He has a look at Last Action Hero. Did you ever see this movie?
No, I've not seen it.
I stupidly saw this in the theater one time. It's funny, I get this confused with another one of his films.
Kindergarten Cop?
No, I can't remember which one it was. So I'm always thinking, well, I didn't see that. But I caught some of this the other day, and I was like, I did see that in the theater. For you, it's so stupid film.
Well, I know the premise. It's like a boy is watching a movie, and somehow the hero comes to life out of the movie or something like that.
And it was a dud. It was a big old dud. And so, let's make a game. And who better to cover that game than DK, the master of the dud games, or this obscure weirdness. So, it's got all the usual tropes and whatnot. So I love that. That's the one thing I remember is the "Have a nice day, happy face" contact lens, which I always thought was kind of neat. So anyway, if you're into that, go give that a read. It's top shelf. Let's see. Oh, we released a few things on the site this week. Bo, I think you released a what was this week's Insert Disc 2? Was it the
this was
BBS talk one?
No,
I can't remember.
this week's Insert Disc 2 is my talk about the wonders of France.
Oh yes, oh yes.
And we talked about, and then we talked about some random things after that.
The big F.
Yeah, the big F.
And so that's always a good time. And we also did an ARG this week, which what'd we do?
Neo Geo, or no, Game Boy Advance. You did not post that to the
right.
site.
Yeah, I did. Right here it is. Game Boy. Me and Brent did Game Boy Advances, and I'll tell you, Brent picked the duddiest game of all time. It's a game called Urban Yeti.
Yeah, and it is very poor. I went and I played some of it.
If you ever wanted to, normally when me and you look at a game, it's very rare that we just like straight up murder a game, like viciously with like a knife.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, if you want to hear me murder something, and even Brent hates his own game.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, Brent's particularly full of crap on this episode. So if you want to hear Brent go into poetic mode, there you go. And then I did a counter punch, which is a Punch Out clone, it was okay.
Yeah.
I saw that you played these, by the way. What did you think about them?
I could not beat the first guy in counter punch.
I saw it. Yeah,
I was no good at that. And Urban Yeti, I mean, it's garbage.
Could you even do anything at Urban Yeti?
It's garbage.
Yeah,
it's really
hot
bad.
garbage.
Yeah.
It was no good. So yeah, so that's what we got cooking this week. Me and Brent will be playing selections on the beloved Odyssey 2.
I can't wait for that. I love the O2.
Yeah, oh yeah, and then we will see what happens on Insert Disc 2. I saw you brought the guy back, or the chick back this
Yes,
week.
I did. So. It's mostly just, do I remember to insert it or not? It's
just like our opening for this show. Just some weeks it's there, and some weeks it's not there.
Amigos, the opening is always there.
It's not always there.
When has it never not been there?
I was just listening to one the other day. Maybe you did the audio for the podcast before you actually inserted the opening. That could be what it was. I listened to the audio version.
I don't know. If you find one, let me know.
I will.
I will change it.
It just came up. It was just nice and clean.
Yeah. Normally, I try. Now, for the past couple weeks, I've done the special Amigathon intro.
Got to have it. Let's talk about Amigathon, by the way. Holy moly, it's coming.
Yeah, Amigathon is.
It's coming.
This is the last episode of Amigos you will hear before Amigathon. So if you have not yet donated, we still have some slots to fill for some time. We are going we are going up past midnight now, from 6:30 a.m. to at least midnight.
Oh man!
But we are willing to go the full 24 hours should we get any more donations, and you can donate at amigathon.com today and get on board. And we're also looking for sponsors. So if you work for a company or you have an organization that would like to sponsor Amigathon, it's a totally tax-deductible donation and be featured on our sponsors roll of logos. Get into contact with me by emailing me at john@amigospodcast.com. I'd like to welcome our sponsors so far, including Digital Press Video Games and Papa John's Pizza.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Digital Press and Papa John's Double Trouble.
Absolutely.
That's awesome that they get involved. All the money goes to charity. It's a good charity, and it's going to be a hell of a day. Let's just put it that way.
Make sure you tune in on July 7th, starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 10:30 UTC.
I'm going to try to induce a coma the day before. I'm just going to come home from work and just crash out, and hopefully I'll have enough jack to get me through the.
We'll have plenty of artificial jack to get.
I'll be okay until. The hardest part's going to be that 6:30 to noon. I think that's going to be brutal
because that we'll be on our own most likely. And
it's going to be.
We're going to need lots of folks in the chat, so make sure you come by the chat and
if any of you hadn't been in West Virginia that day, give us a call. Come on down. It's open house here at the in the basement.
That's right.
So we should have an interesting array of goofballs.
We'll have a rotating crew of crazy for sure. All right, Aaron, you want to jump into this week's game?
Yeah, let's give her a whirl now. Right out of the gate, we are talking about degeneration here. Now, full disclosure, because I like to be honest with the people, I, for years, have thought this was another game. This is another one of those games I thought was something completely else. Mm-hmm. I thought this was a psychological horror game.
Well, if you look at the box, it would lead you in that direction.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. And that's probably part of it, but I did not have any idea what this was. And if I'd known, I'd have been all up all up in it just from the plot alone, because it's my kind of plot.
Yeah.
But I was so far off, and so me and Boat, I was like, what do we got this week? And Boat's like, we got Degeneration.
Oh, by the way, this is this game was chosen for us to play by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Figgy CTZ.
The Fig. So when he told me this, I was like, oh boy, I was like, isn't that some kind of horror game? He's like, listen, it's an isometric, you know, something. I don't think you knew either, did you?
I thought that it was going to be an isometric adventure game because I started watching a playthrough. I saw all this text. I saw you interacting with somebody. There's dialogue.
Yeah.
And I just figured, oh, this is like, it's going to be like King's Quest or something like that.
So when I fired this up, I was like, wait a minute. Hold the phone. What's happening here? You know, I was like, what is this?
It's different than we expected.
So, get the particulars here. So, this came out in 1993, the AGA version, which is the version I played. Now, I believe you played the CD32 and the AGA version, didn't you, if I recall?
I did. I played both.
And you'll have to explain what the differences are. I just played the AGA version. And this was a Mindscape joint. I love Mindscape. They have done some pretty good stuff in the past.
Including, didn't they do Micro League Wrestling?
Oh gosh, did they do that one?
No, that might have been Micro Pros.
I was thinking like Alfred Chicken is one that they did. They've done a couple different wacky things that we've covered. I know, Deja Vu was another one I liked. So, Fury of the Furries.
Oh, yeah.
One. So, they've done some decent stuff. So, this game... it opens in an awesome way. I want to talk about this right away, because first I'm gonna blow the whole thing. I like this game a lot, and I knew right away, I'm like, this is gonna be something cool, because it opens up with this song, and this is one of the best songs I've ever heard on the Amiga. What did you think of that opening?
It was very cool.
It is awesome, and it sets the mood.
It gets you pumped.
It's got this bass line. It's just, man, it's good. It's so good. I listened to it over and over. I just loved it. And then it shows you this skyline. The first thing you see is a skyline of like Singapore, right? And it says Singapore, and it has a year, which I believe the year is like, what, 2 years from now? Wasn't it 2019 or 2020 or something like that?
I can't remember.
And which I always think that's funny when we're coming up on them. Where's my jetpack? And so the premise of this game, it opens. You're a courier, and you're in your pad in Paris, and you get this package to curry to Singapore. And your guy even mentions that he goes across a radioactive desert and some other stuff, but he flies a jetpack from Paris to Singapore, which I'd say that's a
long journey.
Yeah, no kidding. Can you imagine that unprotected jetpack action, if you will, over to Singapore to deliver this box to a geneticist, and that's sort of where the game began. So but the opening of it, I knew right away, between the music and the skyline and the plot, I was like, man, this is gonna be cool.
Right.
So anyway, again, the AGA version came out in '93. It was developed by an outfit called Abersoft or Abersoft. How do you pronounce that, Bud? You want to take a chance?
I'd go with Abersoft.
They didn't do anything else but this.
Really?
Yeah, on the Amiga anyway. And I want to single out the musician, Sean Gugler? That's a heck of a name, Gugler. Because I've never heard of this guy. I should see what he else did. But like I said, I loved the music, and this was great. Like I said, an awesome opening tune. Obviously, I was taken by it more than you, because I couldn't get enough of it. I thought it was awesome. I think it's one of my favorite Amiga songs of all time.
I listened to it and I hit the button. I went in.
I think it's one of my all-time favorite Amiga songs. I swear to you. This is like Blood Money level, boss. I love it. So, anyways, this game got a release on the. I think there's a DOS version, and I know there's an ST version as well. And then recently, they got this sort of a remixed, modernized version. I believe for like I think it's on Steam. There's a which I don't know if you looked at the new version. I had a look at. Did you actually look at the new one?
No, I know that it got on our Discord channel. It got uniformly panned by those in the know. So
I'll get into it later, but I did look at it. So as the courier, get back to the game. You were going to this place called Genok, I believe was what it was called.
Genok, yeah.
And you're delivering this package. Well, I believe you land on the 80. Is it the 80th floor?
I think it's the 86th floor or something like that.
And you get there and you see the first thing you see, and it's so cool. You run, you land in a little landing area. You run through like this entry
little
hall.
vestibule, yeah.
So this is clearly where you are probably couriers are supposed to land here.
Right. It's the tradesman's entrance.
You go to this office, and like when you get in there, the tradesman's entrance. You see basically like a scene of weirdness, and there's a chick laying down like beside her desk.
Well, she's not laying down.
Yeah, she's cuddled down basically.
Yeah.
And so you're like, what is going on here? Well, then you slowly the plot unfurls.
Right.
And what's happened is basically you're sealed in once you come in. Something's happened to put the lab on basically like high alert, and the defenses of the lab are activated, and people are hunkered down.
Right.
And so basically the game is the storyline of the game is you're slowly going through the game and trying to determine what the hell is going on in this lab. And your guy speculates early on in dialogue that, man, what's happened? Is it germs gotten out or something's experiment gone wrong? So your guy, one thing, the courier in this that you play is not a moron. Clearly, because his thoughts are pretty articulate when he says, okay, here's what could be going on. So when you eventually go up and talk to the person that's on the ground, she says, this guy was waiting for this package, his craps went down, we gotta get out of here. And that's sort of where you pick up the game.
Yeah.
So you're in this isometric view, and basically this game, you can sort of break it down pretty easily. And the way it breaks down is you go through a series of rooms to basically rescue people and to get past that room and to ascend to the next floor. There are 10 levels in this, and inside each level is God only knows how many rooms. Like I said, I didn't get all the way up, so I don't know how many rooms are in all the levels.
Well, you're going down though, right?
I think you're going up, aren't you? I'm pretty sure you're going up.
Really?
10 floors. I think so. I didn't get that far, so I'm not. I didn't.
Because you land on the roof. How are you going to go up?
You don't land on the roof. You land on a little. I don't think you're on the roof. I'm pretty sure you're going up.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter. You're going through 10 levels, and so the levels break down to these rooms. So if it was just the thing where you just got past the room, a la like a Venture or something, if you remember Venture.
I never played Venture.
Okay, how about Berserk?
Yes.
Okay, if it was something like that, that's
be a short game.
Well, I mean, it's something. But these aren't just levels where you just go in there and start whooping a butt. In fact, at the beginning, you don't even have a weapon until you find one. But what you've got to do is get past these rooms that are not only are they populated by bad guys, but they are populated by all sorts of dangerous, nefarious stuff. There's electrified floors. There's like laser grids. There's this rotating, like basically like a turret.
It looks like one of those, like a porthole, or not a porthole. What do you call that thing on a ship?
Yeah, I know exactly. I don't know what you call it.
Whatever that thing is, yeah.
And it looks like it shoots little glaives at you. You notice that? They're like throwing stars.
I didn't think about it in the glaive context.
Listen, everything I see that looks like a throwing star, that looks like a little glaive. You're also confronted with these creatures. Or I don't know what you would call these things, but you've got like bouncing balls, and there's these cylinders, and then you've got these really nefarious ones that basically look like people that need rescued, and then they pop up and they
They're bad guys after all.
Decapitate you real quick. So when you start the game, you realize that there are different ways to get through these. There's different. You have to take a certain path to get through a lot of these rooms, and the path is usually determined by how you go about turning switches. Okay, so for example, you may need to open a door. You need to hit a switch, but to get to the switch, you've got to go through an area that has electric floor panels or a bad guy. And then that's a simple version. You go over there, you shoot the bad guy, you hit the switch, and you can leave the room. But they take the premise of that and go bananas. And there's all sorts of crazy rooms and trickery, in fact, including areas where you have to go to other parts of the level to flip a switch to get something else to happen, or get a pass key. There's a lot of pass keys and switches, basically, to get through. And the thing that makes this game interesting, aside from the plot and the background and is these are very clever little puzzles, aren't they, both? They are.
It goes beyond your basic like caveman brain switch puzzles like you'd find in a game like Gods. This game is the way that they do the switch puzzles is very intelligent, and they do it in a way that when you break it down to its fundamental level, yes, they're switch puzzles. But the way that they mix them up in such a way, it's almost like it's not. I don't know. It's hard for me to explain because it is a switch puzzle, but I didn't feel like I was solving a switch puzzle.
To put it in perspective, all right, and this is what it reminded me of. I watched a video on this game, and one of the things they mentioned was that the guy that was behind the game was one of the models that worked on Jordan Mechner's game Prince of Persia.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the guys that they used to make the real life looking guy. So I guess him and Mechner, I don't know if they were buddies or whatnot.
Interesting.
And there are some aspects of Prince of Persia in this game that can't be denied. Because Prince of Persia had where you had to go all over the level and do certain things to get other things to happen. Mm-hmm. But this really, gosh, I never thought I'd say this. In a lot of ways, this is the superior cat here.
Well, this is a different sort of game than Prince of Persia, but as far as the puzzle-solving element, it does take it to a different level.
I guess it's sort of like the isometric baby. If Prince of Persia and say like I was going to say Three Vikings, but it's not really that. It's real unusual, and I mean, it's really hard to put your finger on. Some levels you can kind of just run and gun through them, and you can sort of get there. And then some levels you can get cute. For example, when you get the laser gun, and you get it, like I think it's in the first or second room, the lasers, when you shoot them, they bounce all over the place. And so what you can do is you can use that to your advantage if you're trying to kill a guy, for example. You don't have to be near him if you can get the right angle.
They'll ricochet, yeah. And you set up you set up your shot like you would a pool shot. The angles work the same way.
It is. Now this game suffers from the same problem a lot of these isometric games do. And I will bring out Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters as my example here. The view makes it sometimes difficult to line up your shots, right? Now, in the levels I played, that wasn't a huge problem. The bigger problem is when you're moving and you're trying to avoid, for example, lasers. And you need to go to a certain spot or a laser or like electrical flooring. And as you run, it's not the easiest thing to stay in your diagonal spaces knowing where you're going to go.
Right.
And that's sort of I don't blame the game. The game has good control. It's just that's the pitfall of using this view.
That's exactly right.
You know what I'm saying? It can be difficult. And this is a game that would play just as well in a modern remake that actually had a Tomb Raider perspective where you actually could scroll.
Like an over-the-shoulder sort of thing.
That's right. If they could do that, you would have something. I mean, you could take this game in whole.
Oh, yeah.
And it would work. It would work that way. But they were playing the hand. They were doing what they had to do here. But and this view looks good. I mean, it's not bad. I'm not killing it for that. But I mean, I don't know if you had trouble occasionally getting on the right spot like I did, but I had trouble.
I had trouble. There's one level where you actually have to shoot a switch in order to get a door to come open.
That happens a lot, yeah.
And I had trouble lining that up where I could get far enough where I could actually hit the target, but close enough to the door that I could run out.
Right. Some of the levels you can shoot all the way across the room, like I guess the walls are low, and it's sort of hard to tell.
It's a trial and error thing.
It is. Some level, I mean, you get 5 men to start, and every time you come across someone who's not a hostage, someone needs rescued, if you get them out of that room successfully, you'll get an extra guy. You need to do that.
Yeah.
But what was crazy about it is, and first of all, that's an awesome element.
It is.
That I love. Now, what I like is once you get them out of the room and you get your extra man, who knows what happens to them?
Doesn't matter.
Good luck, sucker. But
it's funny because they run out of there like, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
But every room is filled with all these.
Well, assumably you've secured them by then, and really you can't rescue them until you quote unquote secure the room, which means basically shutting down the defenses.
And you get told when the room is secured, and I like that too.
Oh yeah, because normally you would know, but I mean. The game, if it just had bad guys in it, it would be a lot like Berserk or something. But the addition of the electrical floors, the gates, the the tube that comes out that shoots the shurikens, those are nasty. This is not a simple game.
No.
They don't start out too difficult on the first couple levels, but I'll have to say, to get to I think I got to I'm trying to think if I got to the third or fourth level. And when I say level, I mean each level has a ton of rooms. I think I can't remember if I got to the third or fourth, but wherever I got, I mean, I was saving my game left and right. I was cheating because this thing doesn't have that. I was saving my game left and right just because I was getting killed so much. I almost got to the point where it's almost like a dragon's lair. And then there's the occasional whoops. I stepped on an electrified floor, and that can happen real easily.
Yep.
And you can be frustrating. It's
now,
so
how
hard,
were you able to save? I couldn't figure out what button to press on the AGA version.
To do what?
To save your game.
It's called Use Amiga Forever. That's the button. That's the button I click.
Okay. Because in the CD32 version, if you hit the trigger button, you get a dialog box that says load, save, blah blah blah. I
just do save states.
I don't know if that was a feature of the AGA version or not, and I didn't play any of the OCS versions.
Now I will say, when I played this on Amiga Forever, and this was kind of weird, but I had to use the space bar to fire. I was using the joystick, so I don't know what that was.
I had all kinds of control problems. For example, when I watched
some of your antics.
When I set up to use a CD32 pad, every direction and button worked except for up. I have no idea. Then when I used the joystick, my fire button wouldn't work, so I had to use the space bar. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, trust me, I understand. But this is what I had to emulate, so and I know a choice on this one. But I like the fact that all these rooms have these cool traps in it, and they made this look like sort of like an office. I mean, there are tables and chairs and office stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, there's also you're looking at it from a cutaway floor perspective. So to look at it the way you do, it looks just like it's kind of strange looking. But they've used a lot of neon and like
it's very appropriate for the cyberpunk.
That's
setting.
right. It's very futuristic looking. Occasionally, you'll come across a terminal, and you can kind of get in there and read emails or whatnot. In fact, right away you get the one that says like what's the name of the company?
Genok.
We want to get in your jeans or whatever. I thought that was one of the first things you read. I was like, oh, that's cute.
I figured you'd like that because it's sort of that neuromancer thing, interacting with the terminals.
Listen, I love this game actually. And I played it a lot, and wasn't good at it, but I played it a lot because it's. I can't believe I never knew about this game. I feel like a complete fool for never knowing that this existed. I mean, it's just right up my alley. The plot of it, and it. Like I said, there's part of it that's like if you ever play like Impossible Mission or something where it's cool to explore and see. And this is again, it seems epically large. It's like you're really exploring a big building, and that's a great feeling. Except unlike say an Impossible Mission 2. Where that game never struck me as I just couldn't get into it. This I could get into. It's more playable to me. I mean, you can actually, if you have to, you can go and just shoot stuff and secure rooms that way sometimes.
There's a lot of what they call these days destructible environments. You can blow up various objects in the room and things like that.
Yeah. Crap. There's also the grenade. If you were really screwed, you can grenade.
I played this game for a long time and I never came across a grenade.
I had to watch them to walk through. I didn't get one either. But if you could actually clear a whole room with the grenade, if you can't get past it, it'll just basically blow up the room. So that's kind of cool. But I dug it. I really did. I like the music. I like the character. It was hard, but I mean, it's not. This is another one of those games. I think if I spent enough time with it, I could get pretty good at it because I was getting halfway decent at it when I had to stop. The puzzles can be frustrating, but they're not the most vicious puzzles I've ever seen. At least the part I got. I'm sure they get super tough at the end. I've heard they do. They get really hard at the end. So you sort of feel the same way?
Yeah, I like this game a lot. I just like you, I came into it thinking it was going to be a totally different game, and I was very pleasantly surprised that it turned into what it was because it's unique. I haven't played a lot of action, really high action oriented isometric perspective games like this on the Amiga. This type of perspective was huge on systems like the Spectrum, with Batman and stuff like that. But this was a very pleasant surprise. It's very pretty to look at. I thought all of the enemies were animated very well. you know, it's like I don't exactly know why, you know, for a security system that this company has put these blobs that absorb you and all this stuff in there. That part was kind of weird.
That reminded me very much, if you've ever seen a show called The Prisoner. Did you ever see The Prisoner?
Was that? Oh yeah, with Harrison Ford, he dives over the waterfall.
No, that's not The Prisoner.
Oh,
The Prisoner was Patrick McGoohan played The Prisoner.
Is this a British show?
And it's one of my all-time favorite shows. And they've got a guy in it called, basically these people can't leave this area, and sometimes they'll try to swim for it. And they've got this thing called Rover. It's a big, huge, looks like a big white rubber ball. It's like, or like a big balloon, like a rubber balloon. It's as big as a man. And if you try to get away, Rover, well, it goes like, makes this noise, and it starts streaking towards you. And it looks like somebody just took the rubber ball and just kind of went like this on the water, and it was skipping along. But I mean, if this thing gets you, it envelops you, just like this thing.
Just like this thing? Okay. Well, maybe that was an influence.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
I mean, by the way, never badmouth The Prisoner. That's one of the all-time great shows, in my opinion.
Okay.
You've never seen it, have you?
No.
You should watch it.
Is it like that episode of Twilight Zone where they can't leave the town?
Not a bit.
Okay. So I thought that the terminals, like later on in the game, you get to a point in the terminal where you can enter things in, and that's how you enable the cheat mode. I never got that far. I thought that this game was hard, but I thought that it was fair. It's a sentiment that I don't share with many games that we play on the show, where I just think that they're hard. I feel like with you know, with the combination of the save feature, the generous amount of men that you get at the beginning of the game, plus with, like you said, with every hostage or every employee you free, you get an extra life on top of that. I felt like they were trying to allow you to do all right. And I'm a sucker for neon and the whole like futuristic aesthetic. I thought that was really cool.
I really like the rescuing the prisoners part. I mean, they didn't have to put that in there. They could have just had you go through it, but it's cool. A lot of it, I mean, again, on the surface, you could say it looks sort of generic with the, you know, get past the door, key card thing. But I mean, their puzzles really spice it up. It's also sad when you rescue someone and they lumber out into the middle and get murdered by.
Yeah, there is friendly fire in both ways though, because I've seen like one of those three things kill one of the they can kill one of the balls and they both die.
Yeah.
So
the bad guys in this sort of remind me of the bad guys in that what was that game we did where you was on the sea. And you drove around and had those guys that kind of bounced after you. That's what they reminded me of.
Oh, right. What was that game?
You remember what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and you had that little ship.
Yeah.
And you drive it around.
Man. It's the guy that did Choplifter that game.
That's right. But that's the guys sort of they kind of remind me of the way they moved and stuff.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's definitely one I'm going to go and have a look at in the future. Let's see what all the folks thought about it here on Lemon. Lemon gives this thing an 8.18.
Very high marks for this game.
I can't get over the fact that this game is so good, and I swear I've never heard of it. I don't think I've ever seen it in lists or anything. I mean, is this one that we just ignored, or what the hell happened, Bo?
I don't know. I don't know how this one slipped through our fingers, but we're grateful to Figgy CTZ for bringing
absolutely.
it up.
I think that's pretty much the long and short. Did you look this one up on eBay?
Yeah. So it looks like you can buy this game new and sealed for the low price of 50 Great British pounds, aka 65.47 US. So this can be yours. This is the A1200 version.
Yeah, we should mention they had, of course, they had the CD32 version, the A1200 version. I believe there's also an OCS version.
Right. Now, I played both the 1200 and the CD32 version. They both looked exactly the same, with the exception of the easy save on the controller. Haven't looked at the ECS, OCS. I can assume that, I mean, this game, I would say that maybe it's maybe some of the colors are not as good, or maybe the music, but I bet that the OCS, ECS could pull this off pretty well. There's nothing too crazy.
Now, I did look at that new release when we were talking about. We should probably touch on that. It's your classic baloney, and what they've done was they just took this game and they gave it some kind of let's say it's a crummy paint job, I guess is the best way to put it. Just they made it look sharper and smoother, but in all honesty, it just makes it look cheap by today's standards. Does that make any sense? I mean, you've got to, if you take a game, this is a classic game, right? if you take that game and you basically do the bare minimum with today's graphics, I think this came out a couple years ago. I'm not sure when it came out. It doesn't look that good, and I've heard it plays not well. That's what I've heard. I haven't played it, so I'm not going to condemn it. But word on the street, it was a disappointment. I can say, looking at it, and actually Boat's looking at it right now.
We're all looking at it together if you're watching on YouTube.
It looks cheap. That's I guess is about.
Yeah, it looks like the assets are just sort of placeholder assets. Your guy looks really dopey. Just from the couple seconds that we've had to look at this, it doesn't look good at all.
Now, if it played well, I could get past what it looks like. But something else this has is the graphics in this are they're classic, beautiful graphics of that
classic pixel art.
And sometimes less is more. You know, and I'll use Prince of Persia as an example. I mean, you could spice that up, and I think it's the Genesis version. It's really updated graphically, but I mean, does that add to the game? In that case, I don't think it does.
No.
I don't want a dungeon to look all ornate. It's a dungeon, man. And this, again, without playing it, I'm not gonna sit here and kill it, but I guess that's what I am. But I haven't heard good things. So
I will kill it. It looks terrible.
Well,
stay away.
Fair enough.
Aaron, before we close the show out, it is time to announce the winners of our last week's Patreon song contest.
Okay.
Last week's Patreon song was American Pie by Don McLean. You know, everybody always, there's this topic of conversation about what American Pie is about. And they asked Don McLean, and he looked them straight in the eye and said, American Pie means I never have to work again.
Yeah.
So that's...
And I love that song. And I remember when I worked at the radio station, WMUL, the guy that came on after me, we had a pop we did a pop show. I had no choice in the matter. And the guy behind me did a classic rock show. And he would bring this, he had literally like a foot locker. He would bring it in the studio and it had all the albums in it. And I remember thinking, man, look at this guy. This is the man. And I remember the first time I ever met that guy, he was spinning American Pie.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, I love that song. We were looking at that liner notes. And I was just like, man, I just got finished playing Poison, you know, on here. You know, I felt so slimy. That was the beginning of the end of my radio career.
Now Poison is classic rock. So.
No, it's not. And this was their horrible album. I was playing Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
You know, I always thought that song, That Girl Is Poison. I always thought that was by Poison.
No.
But it's like Big Country, that kind of a situation.
I played that too. That album had just came out and I was playing it. That was one of my favorite songs we had. That's sad.
WMUL. You know, I once did a 12-hour marathon on WMUL because I had a buddy that was a DJ.
Oh, yeah?
And yeah, so.
They let anybody in that studio,
They do.
They?
You're not kidding, man.
Man, I know, man. God.
All right, so as always, if you know this week's Patreon song, you can email me at john@amigospodcast.com, and I will read your name, just like all of these fine winners from last week's contest. Ian Griffiths, Duncan Stiles, Paul Kitching, Matthew Perron, Dell is Dreamy, and Jason Warrens. Congratulations, you're all winners.
Well, I was just thinking, as you said, that if you like the song, if you recognize the song Boat singing and you like it, turn the volume down. But I like American Pie, and let me tell you something. Although I'm not real keen on pie right now because I know what's coming. But that was a rough one to get through.
Come on, man. Cut me some slack. So if you would like to become part of this illustrious list of names that I'm about ready to sing, you can go over to patreon.com/AmigosPodcast and slip us a couple bucks a month, and you will be featured on this list, as well as lots of other cool things like access to our Discord channel, where we're talking Amiga and retro gaming and everything else 24/7. The Discord's a hopping place.
I don't know what to do without it.
Oh, I know.
I need help. Like, was it Graham? Was it Graham that just went to Africa? And so we're getting to see all those pictures. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And people send all these crazy pictures in.
People lead much more exciting lives than we do.
Well, I mean, like these restaurants. I was at Folgers. They send all these pictures in, or like what they're cooking. You know, I got nothing to contribute to this thing. I just sit there and look at it and be like, man, that looks great.
That looks awesome. All right, here we go. Wish I had my piano for this one.
Oh, Lord.
Seb Kiernan, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Dan Ross, Leaf Kalon, Alec Kebab, Donald, Tyler Levelord, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRocha, Creepy Dead Boy, Figure CTC, The Slow Norris, Stefan, Suggen Mortensen, Evan Helland, Blender 75, Christopher Hassel, Ravi Abbott, Chris Foles, Dreamcatcher Lawrence, Graham Bebke, Brent Dowdy, Lane Denson, Adam Battersby, O'Brien's Retro Vintage, Gary Hucker, C. Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Alan Kebab, Anthony Jarvis, Taste from the Crib, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rouleau, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy, Hubert Stad, Daniel Bingston, Brittle Barracuda, Darren Coles, Jason Wands, Pixels at Dawn, and Kyo Barman. Patreon supporters.
Wow. Sadly, it took me about half the song before I finally figured it out.
Well, you are slow.
Well.
Guys, we record the show every week on Fridays, except when we don't. At between 5 and midnight.
Yeah, sorry. I had work-related issues today, folks.
So make sure you join us. You can join us on, we're now simulcasting on both YouTube Gaming and Twitch. So you can subscribe to us on YouTube at Amigos Retrogaming, and we are on Twitch at Amigos Podcast.
Yeah.
Wherever you want us, you can find us.
Coming soon to MySpace.
That's right.
Simulcast.
That's right. I'd like to thank all of the folks that are hanging out with us in the chat today. We had a really nice crowd. Grave of Monsters, Henrik Anderson, Pixels at Dawn, Barkbit, Duncan
Bark
Styles, let's see, and Colin 419. Anybody else that's still hanging out with us, and also 6mmBRX, which is a Wildcat cartridge based on a Norma 6mm BR. He informs us on Twitch.
I don't know what any of that means.
Thank you guys for, I'm sure it is. Thank you guys for hanging out with us wherever you might be and wherever you are right now in listener land. We will be back on this coming Wednesday. We're going to be taping early for our show the following week. No. Is it Tuesday or is it Wednesday? Wednesday evening?
Tuesday morning. Tuesday evening.
Tuesday evening.
Okay.
This coming Tuesday evening, we're going to be filming our next episode, which is going to be PGA European Tour Golf, suggested by Amigos Game Selection Committee member Chris Foltz.
I mean, you can't botch golf. Impossible.
You can't.
I love it.
So we'll be recording that early because this coming Saturday is Amigathon.
It's crazy time. I can't believe it's here.
It's snuck up on us.
I'm nervous.
Like a thief
Are
in
you
the night.
nervous?
Man,
I'm nervous about it. Oh man.
There's a lot riding on it.
I know,
a lot of games. We're going to be playing a lot of games. You'll be drinking a lot of Diet Dewdrop Extreme.
Oh man.
I'll be pounding down coffee. But we'll have plenty of Papa John's pizza to eat.
Absolutely.
So, thank you all so much for listening. We will see you next week. Until then, adios.